Welcome to STARCARD Podcast. Here at STARCARD Podcast, we get a glimpse at the age of Aquarius ahead of us. My name is Breakaway Ray. I like talking about the breakaway civilizations because we're breaking away from the one we're in now. You've tuned into a live tarot throw. Today is October 9th, 2025. There's a famous psychic named Ingo Swann, and this is his book, Penetration. Now, I'm speaking to everybody as if you don't know who Ingo Swann is, but if you're watching STARCARD Podcast, you've heard of Ingo Swann. But, for the longest time, I never heard about the guy. But, of course, he did work on secret projects, black operations. He's a skilled remote viewer. You would classify him or group him in with someone named Pat Price. I think that's the name of another very famous remote viewer. But anyway, I want to tell you three quick stories about Ingo Swann, who apparently enjoyed a good cigar. And one of them is that, they knew the government or whichever secret operation was experimenting, they knew that Ingo Swann had the best psychic skills. So what they did was they invited him in and they said, hey, we got something in what we think is a psychic proof situation, underground, surrounded by lead, almost like a Faraday cage, concrete, etc. And it's a clock down there. And we want to ask you if not only can you read it, but can you, remotely influence it? So remote viewing is just when you take a look, and remote influencing is when you take a look and then you make an adjustment. So anyway, they invited Ingo Swann in, and yeah, he pulled it off somehow. He did the exercise that he did. He influenced the clock. He adjusted it or changed it. I'm telling you the dynamic of the story. I'm not sure I've got all the details correct. And, the scientists, they had a way to go down there and open it up and check the clock. And they proved that Ingo Swann had adjusted it. So now I got to tell you about these two other instances of Ingo Swann remote viewing. Now, when they asked Ingo Swann to remote view, they give him an envelope and they write some coordinates, which are just numbers on it. And then it's, up to Ingo Swann's higher self and his consciousness to project himself to that place and check out what's going on. Well, in one case, the secret organization that was doing the research, these scientists, assign these coordinates that took Ingo Swann to the moon. And of course, he didn't understand that he was on the moon because he was seeing people there, and people were not wearing spacesuits, and he saw evidence of civilization. But he found out later, of course, he found out what it was he was looking at. That's one instance that I recall from the book. And then another instance was, I think this was something that they did off the record. It was just him and some friends saying, the government asked us to do these things, but we could do these things together and we could create our own database. I'm not sure I've got all the details correct there, but that's for sure what's going on nowadays in 2025. There are many websites where you could check out people assembling remote viewing groups, including Tony Rodrigues, Ingo Swann, and some friends in the city he was in, and then in another city. They coordinated their clocks, and they went ahead and they remote viewed Mars. And when they went to planet Mars, again, they saw civilization that was either existing or had existed in the past. It's not as, we were told as it was, it's not as it was portrayed. These are barren rocks with nothing going on. So it was even hard again for Ingo Swann and the other educated people he was working with to understand what was going on, because that's not what they'd heard about what's going on off planet. So I'm going to go ahead and read to you what it says about Ingo Swann. And then, I do have Tony Rodrigues' book right here, by the way. So, Tony Rodrigues is still around, and if you go to Tony Rodrigues, you're spelling it TonyRodrigues. Okay, it's the Portuguese version of the name. He has a Patreon channel. It's kind of easy to look him up. But anyway, he's a secret space program experiencer who's now pursuing education and remote viewing. He's got a couple of remote viewing groups. I'm not in any of them, but I want to let you know about Tony Rodrigues because he's pretty much our Ingo Swann for the 2020s. He's doing some great work, which helps everybody. And what I like is that he has integrity. Anyway, back to Ingo Swann. I'm going to go ahead and read to you what it says. Feels like I should have tagged. I did tag Ingo Swann. Here I go. Extraterrestrials, telepathy, Earthside and space-side visits to the moon, ultra super secret UFO activities, cover-ups. Ingo Swann reveals a long-held secret series of experiences with a deep black agency whose apparent charter was simple: UFOs and extraterrestrials on the moon, and worries about ET telepathic mind control powers. All the while, he explores the fact that we officially know far more than we're admitting about the moon and Mars. Okay, and here you go. There's a photograph of the author. So another thought that I have, by the way, is that we have extraordinary cases like Ingo Swann, who probably discovered his psychic abilities and talents on his own, like many of us, okay? But because the times were different in the middle of the 20th century, frequencies were different, exopolitics was different, it's probably much easier for us to start remote viewing and remote influencing as well. So we might as well, number one, be aware of it so that we can control it. And number two, we might as well enjoy it and make sure that whatever we do, doesn't backfire. We don't want it to be one of those monkey's paw situations, where you make a wish and it backfires. Whenever you use your magic, you want to make sure that it floats everyone's boat, which, by the way, so when we talk about remote viewing, we're talking about going someplace and visiting. And then regarding floating everyone's boat, I guess I'm going to come upstairs for this part, see if I can tell the story correctly. So in the description, there's a link to the Typical Skeptic podcast, a special episode they had where Dr. Courtney Brown of the Farsight Institute and Tony Rodrigues were all there. And it was revealed that someone who worked at the Farsight Institute actually assisted Tony Rodrigues by going back in time and remotely influencing how those events came out so that Tony would remember and he would tell us about the secret space program. We let's face it, we've all learned a lot more, about the secret space program because of his input. There are many experiences out there, but the little influence, the little help he got, the little positive remote influence he got from the Farsight Institute got the snowball rolling, as it were. And again, imagine how powerful we could all be as a community if we could use these remote influencing abilities. Anyway, I want to make sure I shared that part. And what we're going to do is we're going to throw the tarot cards, and we're asking the tarot world. I'm not inviting in any special guests, but let's face it, our tarot world is pretty special. And I know that they've got something to say on the topic of remote influencing and remote viewing and how we integrate it into our lives. Because again, we're all changing. It's going to be easier for us to get to know our higher selves better and the energies around us. Let's face it, we're even talking about it now, where a few years ago, maybe it would be more taboo and spooky and woo-woo. Woohoo! Okay. And yeah, remote viewing comes first. We're just taking a look. And remote influencing, that's a different story. So I'm going to use my regular educational deck. Okay. Hey, Tarot World. Would you care to share your input, please, about remote viewing, remote influencing, how accustomed we should become, what's in store for us? Let's face it, we've got to consider the ethics of it. You can't just go barging in other people's brains all the time. All right, so hey, Tarot World. We invite you to give us some scholarly input. You understand it better than us. Would you like to comment on remote influencing and remote viewing, please? We appreciate your help. You've never steered us wrong before. It's a good place to learn here at STARCARD Podcast. Thank you very much. Thanks for the help. Yeah, we want to give a closing statement here. So here we go. Thank you. This is for entertainment purposes only. Let's see if there's a fun message about remote viewing and remote influencing here for us. And we're doing pretty good on time. Oh, okay. So I think I've already proven again that the tarot world is listening. So we're starting off with the magician, the magic of remote viewing and remote influencing. It looks like it may very much be like a continuous message and maybe not so much a separate, but we just got started right off the bat with magic. Okay. And then it's magic done through meditation, says the Four of Swords. Oh, right. So the Lover's card talks about the power of two together. And anyone who's been around STARCARD podcast for a while, you know that to me, Breakaway Ray, the Lover's card talks about the spirit world being right there. So again, to do these kinds of activities, to make this magic happen, you meditate and you go to the spirit world. And then there's give and take. Well, that is true, right? We're talking about floating everyone's boat. You're going to use your energy in such a way that it balances. So in lots of ways, like some masters of the past and present know, it's good not to give off any energy unless it's extremely measured. Keep everything balanced. Whoa, dude. So we're talking about the spirit world and making magic. And then here comes the high priestess. She's like the queen of magic. Let's read what it says on this card. Pretty fun reading right now. The high priestess, intuition, sacred knowledge, the subconscious, divine feminine, trust yourself, sensitivity, purity, and high morals. Not just powerful psychic attributes, but also high morals, discipline, ethics, treating others the way you want to be treated, using your power to float everyone's boat. Yeah. And then the strength card talks about doing it in a strong, powerful way. And don't forget that there's a relationship there between the apparent human and the apparent feline creature there. Okay. You're not just at one with all other human consciousness, but with Mother Earth and all the creatures around us. Everything has consciousness. Everything has consciousness. Then, if you can do those things, you can enjoy the fruits of your labor, says the Nine of Pentacles. Whoa. I'm glad I picked 2 extra cards, but for some reason, the Three of Swords showed up and tells us about heartache. Well, that might be a choice, right? It's a balance. Use your powers for good in a good way, and you can enjoy the fruits of your labor, or the opposite of it. It depends on how you use it, how you exercise your power. Okay, I like that better. Glad I gave that a moment to think about. So let's see if there's a closing message. I got 2 cards over here. And all right, the Hierophant and the Knight of Wands. Basically, the message is go forth and study and do so with gusto. Wow. Well done, Tarot World. That was totally fun.